welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you are still tuned in with us on channel 260, making sure that we give you nothing but the best of absolutely everything that is happening in the country. And guys, my cameraman is telling me to whoa, so I gotta whoa with you. Please don't forget to hop on our socials and let us know how it is that you're feeling about the show, about everything that we've been giving you right now. It is _live on Twitter, as well as on Cape Town TV on Facebook, as well as _CTV on Instagram. Like I said before, hopefully you are staying at home. And if you're staying at home, I hope you're keeping yourself busy. One, send us comedy skits. Send us anything that you're doing at home, be it you're working out, you're reading a certain book and you're teaching us how we can read better, especially with books that are sort of difficult, you're giving us tips, just whatever you're doing, we want to know about it. So please do send it to us at capetowntv.org. We will watch it and hopefully you will see yourself on the show as well. The hashtag to use is XS7 because my darlings, we have entered season 7, the beautiful number of 7, which we all know by now. If you don't know by now, then you're not listening to me. 7 stands for the number of perfection. So we're perfecting every single thing right now. Now listen up, guys. One thing that we promise you guys is not just to entertain, but we promise to educate in every sort of department. Our now next guest does just that. He is all about agriculture. Thando Matutu started his agricultural journey in 2014 after his trip from Uganda, where he took some things and actually came back home and realized what it is that we need to be working on at home, be it agriculture, binding it together with entrepreneurship. It's not just a one thing that stands alone. You can be a good agricultural person, but if you don't have entrepreneurial skills, you might not be as successful. So that's what we're going to be speaking about today. How can we combine the two things to make sure that every single business that is in agriculture is working and working quite well? So Thando, welcome to the studio.
Hi, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the first thing that I want to ask you is, okay, so after your trip to Uganda in 2014, you came back home. What is it that you saw in Uganda that you were like, I like this, I like that, or I want to take this back home and I feel like we can change this, or, they can learn from us in this sort of department?
Okay, so what surprised me in Uganda when I went there first is that I didn't see any beggars in the street.
Right.
So I started to think, we consider, like, as South Africans, we consider the rest of Africa as more unfortunate than us. Then I thought that, why are there all these people? Why are there no one begging in the streets? So I realized that actually in Uganda, they have like there's land where there's sort of like communal lands where they allocate people to plant, and harvest. It's a subtropical country, so there's things like banana, watermelon, and this potato. I forgot what the potato is, what they named it, but it had a name. I want to say cassava, but not cassava. And there's like your passion fruit, and also I realized they farm a lot of goat as well, and also there's the Lake Victoria there, so they get a lot of fish there. So I saw that actually it wasn't common for people to be poor, and also they have this culture where if you have a fridge, it's either you are wealthy or you use that fridge for business, So I could see, okay, these people, like, every day they can survive without actually the exchange of money or going to work or things like that.
Right.
So through that, I saw, okay, so if they have these fruits and vegetables in abundance, why can't we? Because I was always also shopping at the market, There's a market there for the fruits and vegetables, and there's a market there for where they sell the fish. And also there's a few retailers, so I think it was Tuskers or something. So whenever I went to Tuskers, I could see that you don't have a lot of produce, which is a lot of products which are processed. Not a lot of stuff with processed. So I could see, okay, there's an opportunity for industry here and for agro processing. So that got my mind to think about agro processing and the infrastructure that we have here in South Africa. I realize here in South Africa we have roads, we have Pioneer Foods, we have these various people who are doing food production in our country. But I realized these companies are black. Now the black people are not inside the value chain, not in the value chain. So through that, I started looking for people who are in the value chain, and I found a lady from Made with Rural Uleko. She was doing a sauce called Chilatino. So I was blown away. Oh, so you take these chilies from your farmers in the rural areas in your village, and then you process it and you make it into sauce and you sell it. She was selling it in expos and shows and things like that. And then later she was saying that, look, we're not only doing this, but we we're trying to create a shelf where we're gonna sell the stuff. So they're making this app. The app now has developed and it's cooler. The app is called Cooler and has won various awards.
Yeah.
So that's where they're trying to create like a shelf where they can sell the stuff.
Right.
Living in a technology now is developed, so you can order via through that app, and then stuff can be delivered and stuff like that.
Right. And I'm
So
just no, continue.
So that's what interested me in the value, to find out, how can people participate in this value chain from the soil to the page, the whole thing, cold storage, the logistics, and also later on I also was more interested in knowing about export and import, because I found out that we export majority of our food that we produce here in South Africa. If you go anywhere in the world, if you go to Europe, if you go to Asia, you see that you'll see the biggest fruit. You'll see the biggest fruit you've ever seen, like the best one. Yeah. And they say that it comes from South Africa, but you'll never see it here. So, like from that, we can see that our best food is sent overseas, export. And guys, there's only like 2% of black people participating in the food export market.
No, listen, so one thing that I want to find out about is, why is agriculture and entrepreneurship so important to you that it must work together? Because there's a word that you created, which is agripreneur, which means basically intertwining both of the two things, making sure that they work together. Because, earlier on we're having a discussion about how you can be the best farmer in the world, but no one will know you unless you have entrepreneur skills to make sure that you market yourself, know how to communicate with people, and so many different things. So why is it important to you to make sure that people know that you must tie both these things in together?
Farming itself consists of entrepreneurship, like you produce to sell, right?
Right.
Yeah. So now, so you need entrepreneurs in that space of selling, If you as a farmer are interested in just farming and planting, you need your inputs, right? Your input, where you're gonna get where you're gonna get the inputs, you need to get that cost from your banks. So all these sectors, your banks, your insurance, your logistics, up until the retail, even your marketing, all those sectors have to be filled by people who are not farmers. Do you understand? Even engineers as well. Engineers, people who develop apps, those who are involved in technology, they all need to be involved in agriculture at this point in time. If you look at South Africa, if you look at South Africa at the moment, right? They just approved a program, which is the economic transformation of black citrus growers program.
Yeah.
So in that, what the end result is try to get a lot of black people to export some of their citrus or some of their orange that they produce to new markets such as Asia and the Middle East. South Africa was just approved. A successful one happened last year. So in order to plant those large volumes, you need technology, and there is such a technology, which is the drone technology, for instance. Drone technology will help the farmer to see actually since the land is big, what is lacking in his production, etc. And you need also like pest precision monitoring, where actually they use technology that will collect the data. You can't collect that data if you don't have a computer, right? So collect the data, and the video drone will actually see the area where the pests will occupy, etc.
Right.
Do you understand?
And so why do you think, though, because you know so many things about it, why do you think that black people are not in this business? Is it because we don't find interest in it? Is it because we haven't yet learned how important it is to be in the import and exporting business? Or have we not studied, or is it a realm that we're not tapping into? Or is it just one of those things where the system is not allowing us to tap into that space?
I think, for instance, first of all, the concept is foreign to us. A lot of people, like me growing up, I was never taught to, look, you must grow up to be a farmer. Right. Like even the word boer, the word boer in South Africa. If I say boer, what do you think about what does boer mean?
Yeah.
Afrikaans farmer, right? Yep. Afrikaans farmer.
Yeah.
But actually the word means farmer. The word means farmer. The word boer means farmer. See? But for the fact that you say Afrikaans, it means that we're associated with white people.
Yes.
So immediately we alienate ourselves from farming and things like that. And we assume that it does take a lot of hard work, but even the rewards are immense, man, depending on the support you get, etc. You know, it's not only about and we're associated with primary and hard labor because black people in the past were only involved in the primary and hard labor of the farming. You never get to be taught about, okay, like after planting this, who's gonna harvest, what are the costs, what to invest, your logistics, how you're gonna take in terms of retail, even export and import. I mean, those are totally foreign to us. I mean, in 2020, you've only 2% in export.
Right.
And everyone has this idea that if you want to be wealthy, you must get quick wealth now and something that is gonna work. As black people, we have that cultural pressure that if you have to do something, it must work immediately. And that's usually mining and construction. So a lot of black people tend to be involved in mining and construction. But
Something
usually,
that gives a sort of instant gratification, if
yeah,
I might add.
yeah, instant gratification. Like you also have to, if you're black and you're successful, you have to show your success like immediately. Look, this is what I'm doing. Look, I'm
This is
successful
what I'm
now.
buying. This is what I'm at. This is what I'm doing. I
Buy,
hear you.
yeah, and buy all these things. Yes, no one says, look, take time to invest in something and grow something. I think, like we're going through a transition. The first guy who's doing that really is DJ Smooth with the Mo5. That's the
Yes.
first guy who's motivating and saying, this is how you do it. This is how, look, sit down, draft, and work at it until you have your own model. Then you'll see a product being sold. I mean, he struggled to get his stuff in retail for a long time.
Yeah, and,
But
and,
now,
and also he was brave enough to show us that process so we understand how difficult it is to actually get there. But right now I'm going to have to pause you, Thando, and we're going to go check out something, which is a video about an expert who is telling us how an HIV vaccine might be coming out in 2021. I must warn you, these are not our words, these are the experts' words about how we might have a vaccine that might be stopping something as huge as HIV and AIDS. But right after that, we're going to come back with Thando discussing more about agriculture, entrepreneurship, and COVID-19. Check it out.
A HIV vaccine could be available as soon as 2021, experts say. Experts are optimistic about 3 late-stage trials for a HIV vaccine, with the possibility that an effective one could be available as soon as 2021. Dr. Susan Buckbinder is chairing 2 of 3 trials, named Imbokodo and Mosaico. A third trial, HVTN 702, is also entering its final stages. Buckbinder told NBC, "We have 3 vaccines currently being tested in efficacy trials and it takes quite a bit to actually be promising enough in the earlier stages of trials to move you forward into an efficacy study." She added that this was perhaps one of the most optimistic moments we have been in for research on HIV vaccines. The HVTN 702 trial is the oldest ongoing HIV vaccine trial, and it targets a specific strain of HIV typically found in southern Africa. HVTN 702 was based on the RV144 vaccine, which in 2009 managed to reduce the rate of HIV infections by 30%. Although that was not enough for it to be considered successful, it is to date the only vaccine to have any effect on the virus. Clinical results for HVTN 702 are expected in late 2020 or early 2021.
Welcome back, everybody. Remember the hashtag to use is Excess7 because we have entered the beautiful season of 7. Guys, go on our social media pages and let us know how everything is panning out. It is Excess_live on Twitter, as well as Excess and Cape Town TV on Facebook, as well as Excess_CTV on Instagram. Now, before we went and watched about the HIV vaccine, you know that we were talking to Thando Matutu, whose agricultural journey started in 2014, and we're just discussing the importance of agriculture and knowing entrepreneurship as well, and how those two work hand in hand, and how also we can get more black people in the system and in this world, making sure that we are also doing amazing things when it comes to agriculture. His He started an agripreneur journey with Made with Rural, where he managed their public relations, media, marketing, communication, and so many different things. But generally, he's working with in the agricultural space, introducing entrepreneurship and just going things that are going hand in hand. But before we went to the break, we were speaking about how us as people of color always associate agricultural things with things that are less than, because maybe want instant gratification, or some of these things are actually looked down upon because our great forefathers had to do these things and they were not taught full out on what happens after you farm, and how you can actually make a bigger range out of this industry. But we're just taught, okay, farm, okay, that's all we need you for. But right now we're talking about how we can expand our minds to make sure that we know more and we enter this industry and multiply and do all sorts of things. So Thando, welcome back. Thank you so much for still being on the line.
Yes, I'm on the line.
Yes. Now, I wanted to change the conversation a little because, I mean, before we went in the ad break, as I mentioned before, we were speaking about why are people of color not in the industry and what it takes to be in the industry, and why agriculture and entrepreneurship work hand in hand. Now I want to know, how can agriculture entrepreneurship help us in this time? Because of COVID-19, so many people might be out of jobs, young people, old people, I don't know. So how can agriculture help us advance as a country?
As a country. Explain. Okay, so now obviously the COVID-19 has put a highlight on two sectors which were highly ignored in the past. Obviously health for one, and also the second one, food production. Right. Those are the most important things now. You know, if you're in a pandemic. So now everyone is trying to run around to see who produces food. As I've seen, like in the food banks now, they're looking for suppliers and who's supplying this, who's supplying that, whatever produce, and it's sort of like hacking, etc. You know, the government has been saying that they want to encourage youth to go into agriculture, but actually youth have been coming to us, our organization, looking for jobs. You know, looking for jobs to say, look, here's jobs. So it's high time that we advertise everything involved in the value chain, in the agricultural value chain, the logistics of the food, the marketing, the retail sector. Because now, since it's COVID-19, you're scared to go to the shop, so you want people to come deliver the stuff to you.
Right.
So you need guys developing apps, right? You need guys developing apps where you can use your cell phone as we are talking now, and a platform where someone can order and then they can receive their food or their produce.
Now, we've been speaking about agriculture and all its positives. Can you give me some of the challenges that you have to go through as a business, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's working in this field?
Okay, the biggest challenge is the capital investment, which is needed. You know, yeah, agriculture is a game of scale. I mean, it's a game of scale. Everybody knows that. The more you produce, the more money you can make. That's where the more volume you make, that's where you can make your margins.
Yeah.
But obviously, when your margins are small, when you're producing like a small scale farmer, to make it alone, I mean, you won't make a lot of profit. You won't even make, maybe you'll be lucky to even break even. So yeah, with that, that's why now you need a lot of funding from the bank. You need a lot of funding. You need a lot of funding from the government. You need also funding from external parties. You know, those we export to those countries. You need to find a lot of funding from them to develop these programs, and you need a lot of support from the public itself. You know? The public is not going to want to participate in agriculture if they don't know what's going on and how these things work.
Right.
So that's why we understand that not everyone is interested in farming per se, right? But then people are interested in technology, people are interested in marketing, they're interested in logistics, packaging, and all those things, cold storage for engineers, all these things. Those are interested in fuel also. It's intensive agriculture, like a lot of fuel is used there. So we need to find a lot of those guys to channel their interest towards agriculture. Those professionals already out there who are already doing these things, actually participate, and a lot of them too who are there to not only see as, okay, you plant, but participate themselves, put themselves along the value chain. Even there's a Black Industrialist program, you know. You need to identify agro processors. There are a lot of agro processors were doing stuff. Guys are making yogurt from potatoes. Other guys are making gin. I know there's a ban on alcohol, but guys are making gin. You know, guys are
Yeah.
making a lot of things. Yeah,
People
they're
are actually getting
processing a
very
lot of.
creative with making things from
Yeah,
plants.
exactly. Yes. So I mean, the sector has a lot of opportunities. You know,
Yeah.
there's also like dried fruit as well, frozen dried fruit. You know, that's a marketing if people want to eat healthy as well.
Mm.
And there's also the it's opening up of the market of freshly pressed juice as well. You know,
Mm.
for those who want to be etc. You know, and those are common. You use it from common vegetables such as spinach, cucumber, and those types of fruits. You know,
Mm.
so I mean the possibilities are endless. You know. Possibilities are endless, but people need to be interested in the sector itself.
Mm. Now, what is
Mm.
one thing that is inspiring you to go on? Because I mean, there's so many different things. When you enter this industry, one, you're entering it as a black person. Two, business owning a business in general is already hard. Owning a business as a black person, entering into an industry where not a lot of black people are, is even more difficult. What keeps you going and actually says, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to penetrating this industry, so let me just keep pushing?
Okay. So, for instance, here in South Africa, I mean, there's demand from the whole world, from
Right.
South Africa. And now, how do we get to that demand? We don't need to monopolize the knowledge in terms of you don't need to, like the demand is so vast that you need to produce more people to
Mm.
be in the sector. I mean, when I went around like in South Africa looking for farms to do this, I met a lot of old a lot of old white people. Like maybe the farmer is like 17, he wants to retire.
Mm.
His sons maybe they relocated to Australia or they relocated to the UK, you know, and he's just looking to sell the farm. Then when you buy the farm, who's going to take over? Who's going to work? Who's going to do those things?
Mm.
Because like whoever's left here doesn't have the know-how, you know. So I think about about 70% of the farms that we want to occupy have this type of situation, you know.
Right.
So you need people to come fill the void. But then you need people to come in and fill the void, you know. Yes, there are people who are coming in. I see that the Citrus Growers Association is trying to involve like black people to be involved.
Mm.
You know, they give from the Jobs Fund about 118 million. You know, the Land Bank also put in 160 million in the thing and also 24 million. But then now the conditions are that it must be 100% black owned
Mm.
or it must be 60%. So
Mm.
where are you gonna find those? Where are they? You know, we need
Mm.
a lot of guys to be continue in that production. You know?
Mm.
But as I was saying, that we also need to highlight the guys who are successful in the set, like the
Right.
guys who are excelling. Like for instance, in the Eastern Cape, there's a young guy, Aviwa Kotiwe. He got like he won the Chicory SA Commercial Producer of the Year, you know,
Mm.
2018, 19.
Yeah.
And also you have other guys, Phillips as well. He's the best doper breeder in the world, you know,
Mm.
in the world. We have these people in South Africa. In the world, he
In the
got awards as
world.
a junior. In the world, yes, as a doper ram breeder in the world, and they're looking for his they're looking for his services all over in the world. Like we're supposed to be in the UK, supposed to be in the Middle East, in the Asia, teaching other people
How to do
how
what
to
he's
breed.
doing.
So yeah, so we need to adopt these guys and teach this excellence to a new
Mm.
generation.
Mm.
Let that skill remain for that guy and his family, like him and his father. You know,
Mm.
it's him and his father. But have a program where involve a lot of people to be mentored and be trained by them in terms of genetics, how to have the skill. We have the skill here, like locally, you
Mm.
know. And even there in the Western Cape as well, I saw a company, Golden Harvest.
Right.
Golden Harvest was they were sending food parcels in Philippi, right?
Mm.
You know Philippi,
Yeah,
Cape
yeah,
Town.
yes.
Yeah, but you're only Philippi, like I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there in Philippi, the land there. You know,
Mm.
if Golden Harvest can do more than just give out food parcels, teach those people, train them, you know, partner up with the municipality, then encourage to have a thriving economy there, you know, where people can. You are asking me what must people can do to feed themselves. I mean, these companies can support and get the people to do
Mm.
these things themselves. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Because I saw there was a fresh market, which was just built recently. But you need a lot of guys to participate there and support with the value.
And it's so lovely to see that actually people are out there willing to support young businesses and young people who are starting up, especially in this industry of agriculture. Now, Putam, I'm going to have to let you go, but before I do, please let us know where we can find you on social media. Maybe someone is like, Lua, no, this conversation was not enough. I need to ask you more questions. Please let them know where they can find you.
Okay, so on social media, on Facebook, you can find us Agripreneur South Africa. Yeah? Just Agripreneur South Africa, Agripreneur SA on Facebook. That's our Facebook page. On Instagram, it's just Thando Matutu, Thando Matutu, one word on Instagram. And then on Twitter, Agripreneur _ Matutu Thando. Yeah, that's it.
I actually thought you were going to say Agripreneur _ SA, because every time there's an underscore, I know someone's telling us about their country. Anyway, Thando, thank you so much for joining us and for chatting to us today. I'm sure a lot of people, myself, learned something new and actually thought about why it is that we are not in this industry, and you've just opened my eyes to a completely new realm. So thank you so much. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little bit of a short break. Don't forget to go on our social, show us some love, okay? Excess Season 7. Wish us a happy birthday. #Excess Top 7.